What a friggin' epic disaster of epic proportions. Disgusting, disturbing. And now we have the season to look at right in the face. We have a lot to discuss. Firings, reactions, all that and more. It's time for the post-game show. Let's start it. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Aaron Rodgers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Hey everybody, my name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Happy holidays to everybody. Nothing happy about what transpired on the first ever Black Friday game in NFL history. 34-13. Just absolutely god-awful. Just friggin' terrible. And something flipped. This morning, of course, I do my daily morning show, Boy Green Daily. And I had positivity, optimism. Hey, Boyle, maybe he could create a spark. He's not great, but, maybe there could be a spark here. Maybe something could happen. And no, it didn't. No, it didn't. We saw the Hail Mary, as it's being called, Tim Boyle. So it starts great, right? Brandon Eccles pick six. Whoa, all of a sudden we got a ball game, an extra point miss, but it's fine. 10-6. Hey, not too shabby. Tua throws a second interception. Told DJ Reed, and if DJ Reed isn't caught, that's another pick six. But he is. There's 2 seconds on the clock. Tim Boyle, and then like a punt, fields it and takes it 99 yards. Only the Jets. Just when you think you've seen everything as a Jets fan, that happens. Unbelievable. And I've joined a few shows outside of my own propaganda and said, when I've been asked, hey, do you think some heads could roll? Saleh, Douglas, Nathaniel Hackett, perhaps? I went, the only way any of those heads roll is if the Jets just go on a historic losing streak and they end the season like whatever, 4-13, 5-12, something like that. Maybe then heads will roll for the New York Jets. I said only in a disaster because they want to run it back. It's quote-unquote unfair to evaluate this regime and this product because they did not have Aaron Rodgers. I have changed that perspective. I have changed that. I'm ready for heads to roll. I am ready for people to be fired, starting with Nathaniel Hackett. His ass is out of here. I don't give a flying hoot what Aaron Rodgers thinks about it anymore. Hackett has been so terrible that you can't just say, well, he's Aaron's guy. And I know Aaron said on the Pat McAfee show, hell, I won 2 MVPs in this offense. Super. Well, learn to win MVPs in a new offense if you're coming back in 2024 because Hackett's ass has to be gone. Now, Saleh said, I'm not considering a play calling change. But that's where all of a sudden I go from, okay, Hackett needs to be fired. Maybe Robert Saleh needs to be fired. And I'm not normally this guy that is looking to fire people left and right. However, Robert Saleh preaches accountability. That's a big thing. And you think about this terrible offense for the Jets, okay? The Jets have tried a lot of different things. Okay, the offense sucks. Let's change some of the players. Alan Lazard was a healthy scratch today. We could spin that off into its own segment. But the Jets have rearranged the deck chairs. Okay, let's play some young guys. Jason Brownlee, Izzy, Jeremy Ruckert. Okay, let's move a couple of these guys. Oh, wait, we still suck? Okay, offensive line. Boo, 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 boo. Let's change some of that. Oh, we still suck? So when you start making changes, let's put from Hackett from the field to the booth. Okay, let's move this to this, this to this, this to this. And you make all these changes all over the place. Okay? You make all these changes. There's one change left. The offense. So the constant has been the Jets offense being terrible. That's been the constant throughout this entire season. Whether you change the players, whether you change the location of the offensive play call, all of it's been terrible. The one change that is not transpired yet, excuse me, it's still getting over a little something. The one thing that hasn't changed yet is the play caller, Nathaniel Hackett. But for some reason, he is immune to criticism. He is immune to being changed. Robert Saleh was straight up asked, have you considered a change to play caller? And he said, no, not under consideration. Well, what do you mean, coach? Because this answer, let's roll a little footage. We'll play a clip. So Saleh was asked about Hackett twice during today's post-game press conference. Number one was simple and short. Would you consider a change to offense play caller? He says, no, I would not. That's not under consideration. However, the second time he's asked a little bit later when it's a blunt question from Andy Vasquez, and you will hear the question in this little bit. It's 39 seconds. He straight up asked, considering all the ineptitude offensively, Robert Saleh, why won't you change offensive play callers? Let's roll that footage. Here's the clip. Here's Robert Saleh from today's post-game presser. Let's roll this footage.
Given the lack of production on offense, why are you not considering changing play callers?
That'd be a really long answer, an answer for another day, I guess. But when you look at it all, and again, it's a little bit of everything. Whether the calls could be better, whether the execution can be better, whether our one-on-one battles can be better. It's taking advantage of the situations we have when we get them. Do I think play caller will fix that? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that.
You don't have an answer. Saleh, what do you mean you don't have an answer? You rhetorically ask. Would changing the offensive play caller change that? I don't know. Don't have an answer for you. Well, I have an answer for you. Yes. Who knows? It can't get worse. It literally can't get worse. This is the worst offense that we have seen in modern NFL history. You've changed players. You've changed locations. You've changed all these things. The last thing that you haven't answered is for the play caller. And you refuse to change it. And we all know why Saleh has the hesitation. When he answered that initially, he waited 5 seconds, by the way. I was counting 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Then Saleh goes, well, that's a long answer. An answer perhaps for a different day. We know the truth. We know the truth. It is Rodgers is why. Aaron Rodgers is exactly why the New York Jets have not done something to Hackett. And all season long on these postgame shows, I have continued to say that I'm in that same camp. You can't change Hackett. That's Rodgers' guy. You don't want to upset Rodgers. I don't care about upsetting Rodgers anymore. I'm not saying get rid of Rodgers. Some people have gone too crazy on social media saying, F Rodgers, let's restart from the ground up. That's too far. That's too far. If you could change up a lot, I'm willing to fire Douglas. I'm willing to fire Saleh. I'm obviously willing to fire Hackett. But just to ditch Rodgers, no. He's a future Pro Football Hall of Famer. Bring in some new coaches that hopefully vibe with Rodgers, and then you start a brand new thing. That's where I'm willing to go. I don't think you got to dump Rodgers. I think that's crazy talk. Now, if you make changes and Rodgers isn't cool with it, he says, I'm staying retired, then okay, there's nothing you can do about that. But changes need to happen. We have reached the point of no return. The Jets have been blasted in back-to-back AFC East divisional matchups. They got smacked by the Bills. They got smacked by the Dolphins. It's embarrassing. Where is your dignity? Where is your pride? And then the undisciplined nature of this team doing stupid-ass, silly-ass shit. Excuse my Guatemalan. The Quentin Jefferson right off the front of the game headbutting a Dolphins player. What an idiot. And we can, if we're talking accountability, Okay. Well, a wild team that's off the reins, that is throwing penalties all over the barnyard, that goes to coaching. Bad coaches, undisciplined teams. That's a natural order to make. Bad offense, offensive play caller. Accountability. You can't ask your players to be accountable and turn around and not be accountable to the coaches. Now, Sal ain't going to fire himself, but Hackett, I'm just in a different place this evening. I'm in a different place because it's time for heads to roll. It is time for heads to roll. This is unacceptable garbage. Garbage. That's exactly what this is. Garbage. And it's sad, man. This defense put it all out there. Pick six, turnovers. They did their part, man. And even at the end of the game, right? Or parts of this game, the defense eventually loses it, right? And they eventually, lackadaisical or what have you, eventually it gets to a point where the defense is like, whatever. And I can't blame them. They've been carrying the rock all season long, and this team hasn't done diddly about it. Hasn't done diddly. So I had to get a lot of that off my chest. There's a lot to discuss from this game. Feel free to join us, everybody. I am at my New Hampshire parental home. I'm here I'm leaving tomorrow, so had to do the post-game show here. Guys, if you see the pinned comment on our YouTube, we're streaming live right now here on a Friday evening. This is brought to you by the Cam 631 Laser Hotline, a sponsor of Boy Green. If you can think it, he can make it. My guy is a diehard Jets fan, and he supports the show. He can make you anything you want. Business cards, pens, license plate frames, you name it, you got it. We'll be sending these out when I get back from the holiday. We got a couple of people that are going to be getting a couple of special gifts. But, guys, if you want to email cam@631laser.com or call him at 631-31laser. Again, that's our Jets fan supporting our video hotline. Again, that is the pinned comment on YouTube. Do you want to vent? Do you want to react about this game? Share in your commiserate. Feel free to do so. The pinned comment on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, just hop on over and we'll bring you on the show. And with that being said, people immediately using, again, that Cam 631 laser hotline, feel free to use it. Again, here it is. Booyah. Let's go to it. We got Bobby popping on the program. Good evening, Bobby. Bobby, can you hear us?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Bobby. How are you?
Doing good. Oh, hold on. Wait. Oh, am I muted?
No, we got you. We can hear you now.
You're from New Hampshire originally?
I'm kind of from all over the place, military family, but I am.
Are you
my
from
parents
New
are
Hampshire
here.
originally?
No, I'm not. No, my parents live in New Hampshire, but I'm not from New Hampshire originally. No, sir.
Oh, I'm from New York. I used to live in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. What's on your mind, pal?
Am I staticky? Is it static?
No, we got you straight, Bobby. What's on your mind,
Can
man?
you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
I think the Jets should. I think the whole stadium should get grass. These players get hurt.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Everybody's getting hurt. And then that play before halftime was horrible.
Oh, boy. A disaster. Absolutely embarrassing. And people are making the jokes. We had the butt fumble on that Thanksgiving, and then booyah. Now we got the...
What? Who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. Bobby, I think
Who
we
calls
have...
it? Salah, or does it...
Salah did. Salah took blame for it after the game. Salah did. He made the call to go for it, to give a last chance touchdown up, and then it was the pick six. Yeah.
I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, me either, Bobby. Me either.
You're down 10-6.
Yeah, not good. Not good. Bobby, I think we have too much of a delay here, so I'll put you off. I appreciate it. Appreciate the call, pal, but there's too much of a delay, so there's being too much gaps of time. But feel free, everybody. Thank you, Bobby, for calling into the show. Woody asked for where's my apology. Hey, jump on the line. The Camp 631 Laser Hotline. I'll give it to you in person. I'll give it to you right now. Tim Boyle friggin' sucks, man. And I know you tried to warn me. So did my father this morning. Tim Boyle, terrible. And I want to say this. I give you your apology. And again, guys, 631 Cam 631 Laser Hotline is available. It's a pinned comment on YouTube. Feel free to join us on the video line. All you have to do is be in a relatively quiet spot. We'll bring you on the show. But I'm going to have to blow my nose here in a second. So sorry for all the sniffling and everything. But I just have to say this. Tim Boyle friggin' sucks, man. Man, that guy's terrible. And I will tell you, all the people are like, oh, see, Zach Wilson's not the problem. Okay. Zach Wilson was never the main or the problem, but he was a problem. He stunk. So Jets had to do something. So I didn't think Tim Boyle was going to be a savior, and all of a sudden the Jets are scoring 45 points. I never thought that was going to happen, but I thought maybe a spark, a jolt, like a different guy. Like the rest of the offense goes, okay, here's a new guy in there. Let's rally. Let's rally the troops. And obviously that did not occur. That did not happen. So terrible. So your apology is, I apologize. I tried to rally, and my optimism is dead at this point, but hopefully that could change. All right, let's go to that Cam 631 Laser hotline, and fittingly enough, Cam 631 Laser joins us here on the show. Cam, how are you, man? A long time no hear.
Hey, Cam. Yeah, I've had some issues going on at home, but it's good to be back tonight. I've watched every game. I just haven't been able to get on the show. I've been watching them after the fact.
No, that's okay. We appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you. How do we move forward? During the offseason, I got the impression that Hackett was brought in to try to lure Rodgers in, but we need a real good offensive-minded OC, but we also need to keep Aaron from losing the grip on things. I mean, Aaron, as much as I love the guy, I'm glad he's our QB. He can't be the GM.
Yeah, if I'm the Jets, this is what I do. I bring Aaron Rodgers into a room because it makes sense to have your starting quarterback in the conversation. To your point, maybe not GM where he's making all the moves, but like I said, I think it makes sense to have him a part of that conversation. So what I would do if I was the Jets is I bring Aaron Rodgers into the room and say, Aaron, Hackett is terrible. So terrible that he's the worst offense in 50 years. We have no choice. We have to do this. We're moving on from this guy, but we still love you, Aaron, and we want you to come back and want you to do all these wonderful things. But if we're asking our players to be accountable, we have to be accountable to the coaching staff. The coaching staff stinks, in particular, the Hackett situation. So if I'm the Jets coaching staff, I bring in Rodgers. I tell him, hey, we got to make this move, man. We have no choice. And, we're going to have this clock here that makes musical noises. I'm at my parents' house. Okay, let's smoke and enjoy this for a second. Yeah, there you go, people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I got this magical clock near the top of every hour. It plays a whole musical jam. Yeah, in this office.
It's okay. You're still very clear even with it playing.
Excellent. Well, I'll just say this. So that's what I would do. Long story short, I bring in Rodgers, say, hey, we're firing Hackett. He sucks. You could be a part of the conversation to bring in our new OC. You could be in that chat as we're filtering out guys and you tell us. And hopefully, to your point, because, again, at the end of the day, you don't want to blow off Rodgers. Rodgers is still a great, talented quarterback that I would love to run it back with in 2024, but I'm no longer willing to run it back with the same group. Because here's the thing. Let's say they run it back, which is what we've all been kind of convincing ourselves of. A Saleh back, Douglas back, Hackett back. We're all back. But what if Rodgers gets hurt again, and then we're stuck in the same exact place with Hackett? Maybe Hackett's great with Rodgers. Maybe they have the right chemistry, and that looks phenomenal. But what if Rodgers hurt again? Then Hackett's going to give us this crappy offense for another year? You can't do that. So I think the Jets have to blow this thing up, and hopefully Rodgers is a part of the train, for blowing this up. Hopefully he's on board with these moves. That's why I would include him in.
Right, moving forward. And, a lot of people online saying to get rid of Saleh, but Saleh has put together a great team. He's got a lot of good talent, especially the defense. If we get an OC that could mimic that on the offensive side, we got a great team there.
Yeah, this is my problem. I love Salah the person. I freaking love Salah. I love the cut of his jib. I'd love to have a beer with him. He seems like a great guy. However, the lack of discipline, the team having all these penalties ultimately falls on coaching. So if the Jets decided at this point to move on from Salah, and I've never felt this way this entire time until right now in this moment, so this is new emotions for me. I'd understand if the Jets moved on from Salah. And I hope not, because I like the guy. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to rally troops. I think the defense is good, and that's obviously Salah's forte and Jeff Ulbrich as well. But I just, man, I am open to change. I guess that's the way I would say it. Yes, sir.
I like the old school coaches. I'm a little older than you. I go back to Ditka, Parcells, and all them. Sure. I mean, you would be afraid to make a penalty as a player because you're going to get grabbed by the face mask and grilled. And right. I agree with you on Salah. He's kind of like Herman Edwards. He's another cheerleader on the sideline. You need a little, not totally iron-fisted, but they need to respect and fear you.
They do. And again, that's my old school coaching that I was aware of when I was a player. My coach used to rip into me, grab face mask. He did it all. And I was like, oh, boy, I don't want to make a mistake. I'm going to get my ass roasted if I don't, or if I do, rather, make a mistake. And that fear, which isn't, I know, prevalent all the time in today's day and age in terms of coaching, fear was a effective strategy. I did not want to F up for my team or my coach or anything. So there is this buddy cheerleader nature where Salah normally doesn't rip players, although we'll get into it a little bit later. He did rip Alan Lazard pretty good for the first time I've ever seen him do that at a podium for a player. So that was interesting, and we could get into that. But, there's just too much. That's my problem right now. There's too much cheerleading, and the penalties aren't stopping. So, like Salah at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, pal, you got to clean this up, and he's not being able to clean it up right now. So, again, open to change. That's where I'm at right now. Yes, sir.
Right. All right, I'll give somebody else a chance. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, pal. There he is. And that is the architect. Again, I want to give another shout out. Awesome stuff. Cam631 Laser. He makes a business card just like this one, his own business card. He sponsors Boy Green. So friggin' cool. Love that guy. And, man, show your support. Again, there's all those ways on the screen for you guys to reach out and get some gifts. We're in the holiday season. Now would be a really cool way to support me and the show by grabbing some stuff from him and also doing the like. So there he is. There we go. Feel free. Again, that is the YouTube feature. Feel free to hit us up on the Cam631 Laser hotline. I'm actually going to play another clip here. 1 second. Let's go. So that was Salah on the Nathaniel Hackett situation. Let me play another one here from Salah where we could get some good answers. Okay, here it is. This is the one that I'm really interested in. This is Robert Salah on the Alan Lazard situation. You're going to hear all the Q&A here from everybody involved. Here is him ripping Alan Lazard, and he, being Salah, never rips players in public, never rips them on the podium. So I thought this was very interesting. So we're going to play this clip. I'll be right back. Here's a clip from Robert Salah with the Alan Lazard situation. And, man, we need to talk about a couple of things here. A couple of things with Salah. He never rips a player publicly. And we saw that for the first time in, ever. We have never seen that before. And a couple of things here. So he ripped Salah. And the video didn't play. Everyone's saying, "Oh, that's unfortunate." So I guess I'll just sorry about that. I'll just play the highlights here of what that conversation was, and it was this. Saleh said that it didn't play. I see everybody. My apologies. I don't know why that clip didn't play, but basically he put Alan Lazard on notice. He said, obviously it was my decision to make Alan Lazard a healthy scratch. But the other thing he said, so Alan Lazard signed a 4-year deal for $44 million this offseason. And Robert Saleh, during that little piece, says, well, he's here for the next year and a half. He's already talking about getting out of the contract for Alan Lazard. You just signed this guy to a 4-year, $44 million deal. Like, what do you mean year and a half? The year and a half, of course, he's talking about. We got a full article on the Heavy on Jets page about it. But he's already talking about the out in the contract. Like, the Jets can't get out of the Lazard deal, not in the middle of this season, and they're committed to him, pot committed for next year as well. They can't get out of it until the 2025 offseason. And in that point, they could get out with a $6.5 million dead cap hit. That is unbelievable that they're already Saleh already indicated, well, he's here for another year and a half, indicating, well, we can't cut him till then. Like, whoa, what did Lazard do? I know there's been some speculation on what he did. He plays around with a soccer ball before games. Maybe that is a thing for whatever. Obviously, there's been drops. He's had 7 drops this year. Terrible. He's had bad penalties, all of those kind of things. So maybe those are reasons why there's an issue there. But boy, Lazard is in the friggin' doghouse, baby. And Saleh, again, he was a healthy scratch today. Connor Hughes of SNY broke that news. Man, you're stuck with Lazard. But he was a Nathaniel Hackett guy. That's why he brought him in. And, of course, he had a pre-existing relationship with Aaron Rodgers. But you're pot committed to him through next year. There's literally nothing you can do. So, oh boy, I'm curious to see how this situation continues to evolve. But boy, Alan Lazard firmly in the doghouse. Robert Saleh put him on blast, put him on notice. Oh boy, disaster. Man, Jets and free agency, that has been a disaster. You've had Corey Davis's, who, a lot of people wanted back. You had Alan Lazard, Carl Lawson, $45 million. Corey Davis was $37.5 million. Alan Lazard, $44 million. Some people would say Laken Tomlinson was $40 million. I mean, oh my, all this money. Make it rain. But boy, what a friggin' disaster. And then, of course, as we've talked about earlier, the Hail Mary to end the half, embarrassing. That Black Friday game will now be remembered forever if it wasn't for all the other reasons. I just feel like the seat, as Mr. McMoney says here, JD's seat is red hot. Everyone's seat should be hot. Saleh, Hackett, Joe Douglas. They should all be hot. They should be smoking friggin' hot. And again, head should roll. There needs to be accountability here. I think the hesitation for me on a couple of things. I mentioned earlier why my hesitation on Saleh, why I still want Saleh here, or wanted him here up until today because of the energy and the defense and stuff like that. But I'm ready to move on. Hackett is obvious. But Joe Douglas, the 2022 draft of Sauce, Garrett, Brees, Jermaine, some good hits. But the misses in free agency, the miscalculations at the backup quarterback position, the 2020 draft looks like a disaster. 2021 looks like a disaster. I mean, there's a couple of Michael Carter II in the 5th round. Okay, tip of the cap to you. Sure. AVT, if he could stay healthy, but he hasn't been over the last couple of years. I mean, everyone's seat is hot as hell. But, every blind squirrel can find a nut. Every broken clock can be right twice a day. So while Joe Douglas deserves the credit for that historic draft, I don't think he could suck in all these other areas and then us be able to overlook those things. So, again, Joe Douglas, seat, red hot. Yeah. Hot. Now, here's the thing, of course. As I talk about this, that could affect Aaron Rodgers. He could say, whoa, what kind of dysfunctional organization if they move on from everybody clean house, Douglas, Saleh, Hackett, all these guys. And Rodgers like, whoa, not sure I want to be a part of this. That's the risk. You got to risk it to get the biscuit. So while I'm advocating for change, as I am, boy, there is a harsh reality that Rodgers goes, F this. And hopefully he doesn't, because I want Rodgers back. Some people would say, hey, just start brand new, spanking new. But here's the thing. Here's the fact of the matter here. Let's pull up Tankathon. Got our old Tankathon update. Here we go. Let me throw this up on the screen. God, didn't think we'd be doing this, but here we are. Here we friggin' are, baby. Here's the 2024 NFL draft order, okay? The Jets, if the season ended today, would have the 8th overall pick. Strength of schedule, 525, so teams like Washington is lower. Again, basically, the harder your strength of schedule is and the more you suck, that's where you could get into some funky territory here, obviously. So the Jets are going to need some help, obviously, but they're at 8th overall right now. That's just not in the quarterback conversation right now. Now, there's quarterbacks that can slip, but I don't even know if I'm taking a quarterback. I'm probably taking offensive line. The Penn State kid is pretty talented. Marvin Harrison Jr. is talented. If you want to pair him up with Garrett Wilson, that'd be cool. But, you know, I don't know if you're going to be in the quarterback conversation. Like, look at all these teams. You got 7 teams in front of you. I just don't know if I see it. If these teams, like a couple of things help you, like Giants and Patriots play, that should help. But boy, the Jets play Washington later this season. They play Atlanta, obviously, as their sandwich here in the top 8. Like, I think you really probably got to go offensive line if you have one of those top picks. Get the primo tackle to Penn State, and then booyah. Because Mekhi Becton, we'll see if he returns next week. Dwayne Brown, again, is closer to death than he is birth. So, like, he's going to retire. You just have no real answers. So no matter what quarterback, even if you moved on from Rodgers, like, you need to protect the house. And you can't do that with the current offensive line. So more investments there could certainly make sense for the Jets. That's why I say run it back with Rodgers. Get your superstar offensive lineman, and then hopefully you pair it out beautifully. This is how I feel about the current draft conversation, because it seems like the 2 positions that are highlighted if you go outside of quarterback are offensive line and wide receiver. Offensive line, again, I think you get the Penn State kid. And then wide receiver, hopefully you attack that creatively. Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Mike Evans, one of those kind of guys, whether free agency or trade, you get one of those cats in, pair them up with the superstar offensive lineman in the draft. Okay, now we're cooking with gas a little bit. That could be interesting to me. That could be very interesting as a possibility. I can't believe we're talking draft here in late November. That's unfortunate. Feel like I wish we were talking playoffs, but here we are. Okay. Let's try to get some comments in. Also, everybody, again, the pinned comment on YouTube is our video live chat. If you'd like to hop on the show to vent, react, talk draft if you'd like, react to the Jets Dolphins debacle of epic proportions, feel free to do so. Here on the show. But yeah, Tankathon, here we are. Brutal. All right, let me see. What else we got here? Yeah, there's really not much to talk about in terms of the X's and O's of this football game. Tim Boyle was terrible. Sacked 7 times. A lot of the numbers he padded at the end. Breece Hall, again, can't run the ball, whether it's him or the offensive line or both. It's just not happening. Garrett Wilson got some ops, but again, a couple other drops. I don't know how many drops he had. There's one notable one that I remember, but still, again, the entire offense is a terrible mess. It's a terrible mess. Defensively, a couple of misses here and there, but again, it's hard to blame the defense. Forced 3 turnovers. Brandon Eccles, the old pick 6. DJ Reed, the nice play. It's just offensive ineptitude is really holding this team back. All these 3 and outs over and over and over again. It's terrible. Terrible. No wonder this defense eventually collapses. No wonder this defense eventually folds like a cheap suit. How can you blame them? Unbelievable, honestly. But again, it just, there's nothing. Why? So, like, I think a lot of people, I'm not breaking news on the Hackett needs to go, but like, there's nothing else to change. Sure, you can add Trevor Siemian. Will he be marginally better than Tim Boyle? Maybe. Maybe he will be. But, I mean, what are we talking about here? It's probably an inconsequential difference, but he will get an op. Saleh was non-committal on that. Wants to watch the tape. They got a mini bye here before the next game. I think they play the Falcons. Haven't set up the Boy Green dailies for that yet, but, so he could be marginally better. But at this point, it's rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. This baby is going down. It's not a matter of if, but when. So this puppy's going down. So that's really the only other change you can make. So the only other option, the only other answers that you have is change a play caller. And if Saleh wants to save his skin, he needs to fire Hackett ASAP. Although we'll see, because he was non-committal or unwilling to even change play callers, let alone fire his ass. He was unwilling to change play callers. So I think he's stuck between hell and a handbasket here because, obviously, I think it's the Aaron Rodgers, Joe Douglas effect of you ain't moving on from him. Rodgers. But eventually, the line has to be drawn to the sand, as it was with me, and say, sure, okay, we need to, appease Aaron Rodgers. But it's so terrible that there's no more appeasing to be done. It is just factual. Rodgers, look at the numbers. They're disgusting. And you could say, hey, there's a little bit of penalties, a little bit of drop ski, a little bit of offensive line. Blame what you want. The constant this season with the suckage has been Nathaniel Hackett, and there's just no other way around it. There is just no other friggin' way around it. Okay, let's try to get through some of your comments here. Like I said, the video link pinned to the top of our YouTube live stream here is available for you guys to click and join. Let's see. So Red Eye, I see you come in here. Rodgers knew he was coming to a train wreck due to walk of retirement. Choker in the playoffs. I've heard a lot of people. Ryan Clark had this take. He's won one Super Bowl in a cajillion years. He sucks. Hey, the Jets haven't been to the playoffs in 12 plus years. And another year of playofflessness is coming this year. Aaron Rodgers just needed a good team around him. There's been some crappy Green Bay teams around him. Those are the facts. The Jets, talent-wise, were pretty good. Now, they've been, just absolutely obliterated with injuries on the offensive line. But, I think Aaron Rodgers on this team makes a hell of a difference. But we won't know. It's forever the NFL. What coulda, shoulda, woulda happened. So the people that question the Aaron Rodgers playoff success and things of that nature, I spit on that. What about Dan Marino? He went to the Super Bowl and lost and then never went back. Okay? Does he suck? No. He does not suck. He just had crappy teams around him. He had some good teams. I don't want to, but they just didn't get the job done, ultimately. But he's still one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I just think more around than he would have had that here with the Jets. Yes, this is, I see a few people, I'm going to kind of combine those. A few people said, this is a good quarterback class. Yes, it is. But then what with Rodgers? We're going to assume at this point, until he says otherwise, that Rodgers is coming back in 2024. We're going to assume that. And if he is, how do you think Rodgers can respond to, what the hell? You took a first-round quarterback? We're trying to win right now, and you're taking a position that, in theory, best-case scenario, you're not even using? Makes no sense. So outside of the Jets having the number one overall pick, and then we could have that conversation, which they will not have with 4 wins. So there's a ceiling to what they can do, despite the suckage continuing. The best they can possibly hope for probably is a top 6 pick. Maybe that can change, but we'll see. Because of the wins they already have, they're already at 4. A 4-win barometer. I'd have to. That may be a research project later this evening. I'm going to say, hey, what's the most wins a number 1 overall pick team has had in the past? 4, I would be flabbergasted if we have any of those. 2 wins, maybe. 1, sure. 0, of course. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Don't think so. Don't think so. Jets have done too much winning already. Believe it or not. Whenever you ever seen this organization draft an offensive line? Hey, 2006 rings a few bells. DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Nick Mangold, same draft. That's what they need this year. That's, of course, a tough, tall task, of course. But the old double dip with a couple of pillars. Okay, a couple of pillars on the offensive line. That's what they need. CBW. Paul, what's the long-term plan for quarterback? Rodgers isn't good for more than a year or 2 max. There is no long-term answer. Zach Wilson is not going to be on this team next year. He's getting cut or traded. Tim Boyle sucks. Trevor Siemian sucks. And Aaron, like I said, a year or 2. He says he has a couple of years. So long-term, the answer is not present. So that is a draft item. I do not believe that there will be a first-round quarterback added to this rotation. Of course, you could prove me wrong. I'd probably a mid-round selection. They don't have a second-round pick, so maybe a trade back potentially, depending on where your pick is. That could be possible. But I'm sure they're going to draft the guy in the mid rounds to develop behind Rodgers. That's probably the plan. Not a great plan. Maybe you get the right guy, but TBD. TBD. The young kids are going to want out. Robert Bianchi on our Facebook page says, yeah, maybe, but I think the rallying point is Aaron Rodgers and saying, hey, you kids got pretty excited this past offseason to play with Rodgers. We're doing that right now. So that's what you got to hope for. So that's a pessimistic view, but one I'm sure a lot of people share. James Woody, JD needs to go yesterday. Hey, Woody, feel free to click that link, pal. We're going to have a little break from each other. You want to hop on the postgame show, feel free, pal. And we can have a little tete-a-tete. Feel free to do so. Pinned comment on YouTube, everybody, if you want to join the show. Lazard is a bum. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of that on Twitter. I'm seeing, I have not seen Saleh call dudes out at the press conference before, so that part was new. I had not seen that from Saleh during his tenure here, but he sure did for Al Lazard. Matthias joins us. Boy Green, let me just say 5 years for old Joe Douglas. He's heading into like year 6. Again, it's sort of complicated. He was hired in 2019. They picked Hackett. That's true. It's their mess. I've had enough time to clean house yet again. Clean the house we deserve. Yeah, here's the thing, because there is something to be said for continuity, and that's normally a rallying cry. How can you get better if you just kind of keep hitting the eject button? But Saleh's in year 3. Douglas is in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023. He's in the middle sort of year 5, heading into year 6. This is a results-oriented business, and the Jets have not done enough winning. They're in the middle of the NFL's longest active playoff drought in the league and the longest playoff drought in North American sports. It's just been embarrassing. The Jets were laughed off the field today. It was a joke. They got dunked on. Pathetic. Black Friday primetime. First primetime game or first Black Friday game ever. Ran off the field. Embarrassing. I feel bad for the fans that were there at MetLife. Disgusting that you were subject to that you paid for that. You paid for that experience. I'm here with my family in New Hampshire. That was still tough because I hear them talking crap the entire time. Oh, boy. Did that really just happen on that last play of the half? Yeah, it did. Thanks. Yeah, my parents died when I was 5. You want to bring that up? Yeah? You pull up the Adam Sandler line? Screw you, pal. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, yeah, not ideal, but feel bad for the fans, though. Apparently, sorry about that clip not playing earlier, folks. That's embarrassing. Now, let's see. Trying to see if you guys have any other comments here. Yeah, the Saleh record the Saleh record's bad. The Joe Douglas record is bad. All the records are bad. Accountability, it's important. Mas importante. Heidi game. Oh my, yeah. Jet fans have been through a lot. Woody was right is trending on hashtag. There you go. This is something I think it was Rich Cimini said. Remember, Woody did not hire Saleh. He said that. Remember, Woody was across the pond. Christopher Johnson made that hire. So maybe a little easier to rip the Band-Aid. I'll say this in terms of the firing thing. To me, Douglas and Saleh are in the same boat. Why does Douglas deserve another whack at picking his guy? I know technically he didn't do it with Gase, but the Saleh thing is not doing well. Why would Douglas get another whack? What has he proven or shown outside of that 2022 draft? What has he proven or shown that says, you know what? Let's let this guy pick another coach. He hasn't. That's the blunt truth. Joe Douglas, we've put on a pedestal for a lot of good reasons. There's been a lot of hits. There's been a lot of misses. And we have to hold accountable both for the highs and lows, for the good and the bad, through thick and thin. Okay? Jets have been committed to this guy. JD, Trader Joe. There's been some good moments. It hasn't been all terrible. But enough is enough. Accountability is paramount. Accountability is key. And there's just been so much suckage. And the thing that makes this season so difficult is short. It'd be difficult under any circumstance. But the hype that was palpable heading into this season, that we were Aaron Rodgers away, that we were Aaron Rodgers away from making some noise and making some magic, and goes down, and then the entire season. We've had a few fleeting moments, the Eagles game and stuff like that, but for God's sakes, it's been disgusting. Absolutely downright disgusting. And here we are. Here we are again. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Sergeant Mike with this stat. Hey, Paul, Jets were the first team ever on Monday Night Football with Joe Namath. Yeah, that was a Cleveland Browns game. Charles Davis talks about that one all the time. Now the first team ever, Black Friday. Those are our only records for 50 years. Oh, boy. Just terrible. Not ideal. Richard Todd available? Maybe. I'm willing to evaluate options. Yeah, I think that may be a way to put it, is that he is Joe Douglas playing checkers when we thought he was playing chess, and just not enough happening there. All right, let's go to Jugs Artist here, 14. What would you do to fix this franchise in the offseason, Paul? Lay out your plan. All right, let's lay out the plan. I'm going to be honest, as I kind of scoot up here. I haven't given this much thought because I've been an in-the-now moment guy. But if I'm laying out the plan as asked this question, great question, Jugs Artist 14. Thanks for the cue. I'm firing Hackett. I'm firing Saleh. I'm firing Douglas. And again, I consult with Aaron Rodgers because he's your quarterback. If you make these changes and he's copacetic or willing to listen and engage. Again, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is making the hires at these positions, but I consult with him as the QB1 if he wants to return to say, okay, where should we go here? Let's try to figure it out. Let's keep him in the loop. I think that's a better way to put it. Not just have a conversation with Aaron Rodgers. Hey, who do you want to hire? But keep him in the loop as the Jets are going through options, because this roster is talented. There are talented pieces. Sauce, Jermaine, you have Breece Hall, you have Bryce Huff. You got and talent beyond that, right? You got a lot of talent. This is an attractive job for those reasons. And if you can win in New York, it's different than winning in Arizona. It's different than winning anywhere else on the planet. And people from New York totally understand that. They totally understand and get that. And I think the right coach would understand that too. So I would hire a new head coach. I'd get a new offensive identity. Again, I don't necessarily need an offensive head coach. I don't necessarily need to pigeonhole it and try to get my next Sean McVay or Mike McDaniel. I want the best guy for the job. I want the best guy for the job. And if he's offense, defense, or special teams, who gives a crap? Again, I get it. In a perfect world, you get an offensive guy and he has great success. Then the fact of the matter is that, when things change, you don't have to have an issue there, which is fine and dandy. But that's a forward-thinking problem. Right now, who's the best guy for the job? So I'd hire a new head coach, new offensive staff, and then, again, keep Aaron Rodgers in the loop. I would aggressively attack the wide receiver market, whether that is by trade or free agency. Again, unless you have the right pick to get Marvin Harrison. Outside of that, I would try to Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Mike Evans, one of those dudes, pair him with Garrett Wilson. You got a nice 1-2 punch, and then aggressively attack backup quarterback because that's obviously paramount. And I would also try to see what I could do there from both offensive line and wide receiver perspective. So I would just so offensive line, backup quarterback would be very important as well. People are asking me to stop firing people. This is the first time I'm firing anyone, but it's just the excuses are over, man. The excuses are over, in my opinion. Well, Randy is firing me. Offensive line and penalties. Receivers running 2 yards on 3rd and 3. Needed a receiver that can run routes. I just think we can make excuses all day. There are other, the Jets are not the only team in the NFL that has injuries. Other teams have injuries, and they're figuring it out. Why can't the Jets figure it out? The penalties, they're not just random. It's the Jets coaching staff not holding the players accountable. The receivers running yards short of the sticks. That's an offensive play caller and receiver issue. Dude, what are you doing? Go past the stick. Seems pretty self-explanatory. But that's either here nor there. CBW, who would be on your head coach list? This is a great question because, again, I had not even considered it till right now. I wanted Saleh back. Let's look up the best NFL head coaching candidates. I've heard Ben Johnson. I think he's the Lions guy. Coaching candidates. Let's look this up live. Here are the NFL. This is The Athletic. They just had this article post on November 20th. Here are the sexy head coaching candidates. There's Lou Anarumo. He's the Bengals defensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy, the Evero, Panthers defense coordinator, former Broncos guy. Brian Flores, he's like the same offensive issues. Aaron Glenn's a former Jet. Jim Harbaugh, Woody Johnson's had something for him forever, but I don't know if that. Ben Johnson, he's the sexiest guy probably out there. He's 37 years old. He's really turned around the Lions, an offensive guy. Look through the athletic list. Antonio Pierce, no thanks. Raheem Morris, meh. Dan Quinn, again, he would be another one of those Saleh types for his defensive prowess. He had success in Atlanta, bringing them to the Super Bowl, but it all fell apart. Bobby Slowick, he's the offensive coordinator for the Texans. He's a younger guy, but there's a lot of hubbub around him. As I look through this list, the defensive guys just don't really rev my engine. I don't really love Kellen Moore. So Ben Johnson, I guess. Jim Harbaugh, maybe, although, bleh. I mean, he did work with the 49ers. I don't know. I don't love the names. I'm going to be there's no in the Saleh cycle. Saleh was my number one choice. He was my number one guy. I wanted Saleh, and we got him. So, yeah, Ben Johnson and Harbaugh probably of the list I just read from The Athletic, I guess, is there. But yeah, that's it. Until another name pops up, I guess. Harbaugh would be my first choice from Zach. Okay, interesting. Gator Sports, hey there, you sweet, handsome bastard. Hope you and your family had a great Thanksgiving. Cheers, Gator. Gator, appreciate you hopping in. CBW says you have to go offense with the next head coach. Again, that makes things easier. If your offense has success, you know the offensive coordinator ain't going nowhere because that's part of his job. So that's the allure of a Mike McDaniel in Miami or Andy Reid in Kansas City or what have you. So that's a nice little perk. So, yeah, some of the offensive guys are kind of interesting from that perspective. Exactly, CBW. Colts lose their starting quarterback. There's plenty of examples around the league of guys that have, had issues and then figured it out. There's been plenty of guys. So, again, the Jets are not the only ones with injury issues. Other teams have had injuries and have figured it out. But obviously the quarterback stacking is really one of the big reasons that the Jets season is kaput right now. But there's issues that go beyond that as well. Again, just a disaster. Holidays, you're supposed to spend it with your family and everything else. And then we have this. We're talking about firing people and it's just terrible. It's a terrible place to be. I was so excited for the season, and now we're in the rut. Now we have this weekend of just watching other. Like, that's one of the things I also struggle with. Just a random rant here, and then we'll be wrapping up. When you watch the Jets, and you watch how inept they are offensively, you're like, what in God's green earth? Like, what's happening here? And then you watch any other NFL game, and you're like, wow, they make it look easy. They just score touchdowns. Like, it's not some big 14-play slog. Like, it just happens. It just looks like sometimes the Jets are playing a different sport entirely than some of these other teams over the NFL weekend that are doing. It's just frustrating. Jet fans deserve better than this. Better than Mike LaFleur. Better than, gosh darn it, Nathaniel Hackett. Just disgusting. Oh, boy. This sucks. This just sucks. I hate that we're talking about it. This is a total suck job that we're even here right now. Now the Jets have this mini bye. We'll see if Saleh changes his mind on moving on from Hackett, but that would be one of my moves. That would be one of my moves to figure it out because there have been teams in the NFL this season that have fired their offensive coordinators for less. Ken Dorsey, he had a top 10 offense, fired his ass. Pittsburgh, their offense was horrible, and they've been outgained in every game this season, but they still fired Matt Canada. The Jets refused to even think about changing play callers. it's time to fire his ass. See ya. Guess Denver had it right. God bless. And how great will that be for Hackett? He's still getting paid for years from Denver and getting paid for years from the Jets. I'm sure that wasn't a one-year deal that he signed to come here. So God bless, pal. But it's time to hit you on the sweet cheeks and move on, baby. Go to some other pasture. They got someone on the staff right now that could take over. That's Todd Downing. He did it with the Tennessee Titans. That may be the immediate move, and then figure it out in the offseason. It's time to make some moves. I don't feel great about it. Going to be honest. Do not, but it is what it is. You got to do something. Insanity is trotting out the same BS every friggin' time. Every friggin' time and seeing the same crap. So I think it is time to start fresh. Again, not at Aaron Rodgers, but at head coach, GM, OC. Let's wash the hands, get back to business here, and reset this puppy. I think that is the proper way to go. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for the post-game show. We'll be back tomorrow morning for a Boy Green Daily. I will be back here in New Hampshire before traveling. So we will do a Boy Green Daily. I'm going to listen to some more player sound from after the game, give you guys some more thoughts tomorrow. Feel free to check in with that as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. What a terrible way. Happy holidays. Enjoy the rest of the holidays with your family.